Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Linda yang Putri. Now I want to going to explain about journal investigation. So there are three contents in this journal investigation. First is journal title, author's name, research problem. Second is theories employed, and the last is result and discussion. So we're going to part one. In this part, there are three components. The first is the journal titles. The titles of the journals is the content analysis of the English as an international language targeted course book, English literature of literature in English. The author's name of this journal is Mehdi Sohli Andar. And the aims of this research is the study's goal is to add to the current body of research in EIL coursebook analysis within the context of EIL and to evaluate potential scope for EIL these coursebooks. So the next part is theories employed. The first theory is about culture with a capital C and culture with a small c. Culture with capital C is defined by Kumara value as a relatively sociocultural construct referring to the overall perspective of culture as creative endeavors such as theater, dance, music, literature, and art. As a result, culture with a capital C refers to the most visible types of culture. According to Kumara Fadivalu, historically, cultural orientation in second language learning and instruction was mostly limited to culture with a capital C. It wasn't until after World War II that learners and instructors both began emphasizing the importance of everyday parts of cultural activities, i.e., culture with a small c. It was the era when language communication was elevated to the top of priority for language learning and instruction. It is frequently referred to as achievement culture, and it includes geography, story, scientific achievement, as well as art, movie, poetry, and so on. Culture with a tiny c is more nuanced and difficult to teach, yet it can show significant cultural distinction. It includes culturally affected view and perspective, particularly as communicated via language, as well as cultural behavior that influences acceptability in any verbal communication. So the next theory is about coursebook and their cultural contents. According to Crumbs, proposed that coursebook plays an important role in learning by serving as a sort of educational scaffolding. In a similar spirit, Hutchinson and Torres believe that the coursebook is critical in pinning down the process of the classroom and putting a framework on the dynamic interaction that characterizes language teaching and learning. According to the Roberts, established coursebook content as the foundation for FL teaching and learning. In similar lines, Crumbs present coursebook as the core of syllabus design and lesson planning. Summarized coursebook continue to serve as guiding principle for many foreign language courses across the world. Language coursebook frequently include cultural instruction as part of their content are regarded as the finest medium for presenting cultural knowledge to learners. Teachers rely significantly on coursebook to both teach the foreign language and develop pupils' acquaintance with the foreign culture. However, many also employ additional research to varying degree. According to Mackay, contents that pupils can be helped to grasp a foreign culture to a variety technique. Coursebook is believed are crucial since they are the most often utilized teaching instrument in the process of language acquisition. Culture contents of course books, as Mackay emphasizes, determine the type and extent of cultural knowledge students are likely to gain in the classroom, and thus they should be regarded as a distinguishing feature of the course book because they are expected to trigger the learner's intercultural competence. Similarly, courtesy and Jean see cultural learning as a conversation between professor, students, and coursebook. However, when coursebook have only limited potential to promote the acquisition of intercultural competence in learners, whether due to the coursebook's cultural contents or a deficient approach to including intercultural competence in coursebook, teacher may be unable to use them to raise the intercultural competence of learners. So the next part is result and discussion. We're going to discuss about result. So the result of this journal is the content analysis criteria for claim EIL-based coursebook were based on cultural tripartite models to categorize the nation, as well the culture with a small c and culture with a capital C dichotomy. As can be seen in the globally elementary coursebook, exactly 51% of the cultural components aim towards culture with a capital C belong to inner cultures. With a frequency of 29, among the inner cycle civilization, history has the highest frequency in this coursebook. The literature of the inner circle nation is the coursebook's second most emphasizes cultural aspect. The allusions to literary works of inner circle nation in all volumes of the global English series account for nearly 90% of the total literature, with those of other circle countries account for less than 3% and those expanding circle countries account for 7%. There is no mention of capital C cultural item for inner circle nation in the English across culture coursebook. In contrast, there is just one mention to an expanding circle countries literary work on page 32, Remains of the Day, a book by a Japanese writer, and one reference to an older cycle country literary work on page 32, Texina Story novel. The literary output of the three Catruvian circles were also identified in Coursebook Intercultural English, Understanding English Across Culture, and Understanding Asia. However, there is no mention of any of the country's literary works in this coursebook. So the next part is discussion. In this study, 5 coursebooks claimed to be based on EIL were chosen at random and analyzed to determine the extent to which they have incorporated the literature of native and non-native English-speaking countries, as well as how they differ in deciding literary works from the inner, outer, and expanding circle countries in era when English is regarded as a lingua franca. The content analysis criteria for the claim EIL-based coursebook were based on a tripartite model to categorize the nation, as well as the culture with a small c and culture with capital C dichotomy. As the results show, despite the fact that the chosen course book claims that be based on EIL, little or no attention is paid for literary works of English native language. So that's all for me. Thank you.